UK's most hated sales trainer. Where did that name even come from?
I made it up. That's the only way. But one of the things I teach is you don't need to be liked to sell. Most people in sales find themselves there by chance. But I trained as a lawyer. I'm a qualified barrister. I was going to be a criminal defense attorney. That was the plan, but I fell into it. I didn't want this for my life. I had plans. I had aspirations. I had hopes. I had dreams.
Welcome back, everybody. On this week's episode of the Journey to Legacy podcast, we have the UK's most hated sales trainer. Mr. Benjamin Dennehy is with us to share some wisdom like none other. Benjamin is going to teach you about how your perspective around sales is all wrong. It takes a huge mindset shift for you to become an unbelievable salesperson. And most people can make this shift. You just have to quit acting like a buyer. We all grew up learning how to be a buyer, but not how to be a seller. And so you need to flip your mindset upside down. Benjamin drops a ton of actionable advice. He is very exciting to listen to. This episode is super high energy. And so without any further ado, Mr. Benjamin Dennehy, the UK's most hated sales trainer. And so I like to just be really nice and conversational going into it, but entertaining, informative, educational, tell stories, please. That's what we're
I
here for,
will.
right?
I will. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Benjamin Dennehy, the UK's most hated sales trainer,
Yeah.
right? Where did that name even come from?
I made it up. That's the only way.
You made it up
Yeah, I made
personally.
it up. You need something to stand out. And one of the things I teach is you don't need to be liked to sell. It's very big. Most salespeople suffer from this, and I point this out. And so when I was trying to figure out how I should market myself, how do I stand out in a noise of clutter? Remember, the sales trainers are a dime a dozen. Yeah, you could chuck a dart out the window and probably hit one, right? So, and most of them are shite as well. They're utterly crap at what they do. So I went on their LinkedIn profiles and I looked at how they describe how sales experts and leaders describe themselves. And they fell into the trap of wanting to be loved. They always call themselves number one, top performer, guru, expert, leader, professional. They're all saying, look at me, love me, adore me. And I thought, no one wants to be hated. So all I got to do is plant my flag and say, I'm the most hated. Now I own a space. It's a space that I can totally own and dominate. No one can come along. Well, you could try coming along and say, I know I'm more hated, but it'd be so fucking weird, right? So it's a space I could own and totally dominate. And then, of course, Trump came along, the world's most hated man, and he had this red hat, and I thought, oh, I'm so nicking that. I'm just going to change it to make salesmen great again. I deliberately said salesmen, not salespeople, because that gets people, oh, do women sell too? Oh, you get the hot. It just works a treat. I put on the red braces, the long hair, look like a bit of a lumberjack, and I created this persona and image that people just fell in love with, and they like my style, they like my approach, they like my honesty, the transparency with what I do. So and it's worked wonders. It was weird to say, though, I must admit, oddest thing to say when you get up in front of a meeting. Hi, my name's Benjamin. I am the UK's most hated sales trainer. In fact, people come up to me and ask me how I got the job title as if it's some official title. Yeah, like there's this sort of international body that measures hate.
Yeah, definitely not an award ceremony
Yeah,
that
no,
is giving you UK's most hated sales
yeah,
trainer. But what a great lesson, right? Almost just to kick us off with
yeah.
is be unique, stand out, as well as you talked about transparency is what people are really loving from it, right? What makes you say that salespeople are wanting to be loved and not hated, and what's the power of actually being hated and okay with judgment?
Well, the problem with salespeople is if there's a difference between being liked and trying to be liked. So I don't want people to actually hate me. I don't care, but I'm not going out of my way. So if I'm going out of my way to have people just like me for who I am and the way I do my thing, then great. But if I'm trying to be liked, if you try to be liked, what do you do? And so it goes right back to childhood. When you're a kid, to be liked, what did your mum say to do with your toys when other kids came round? Share your toys. Share. Give stuff to people. Show them you're a nice person. And then as you get older, to get in with the group that you wanted to get in with at school, you may do stuff to be particularly nice to them, particularly grovelly and subservient. You know, you'd go out of your way for them to like you. Now, transfer that into the world of business. This is why so many salespeople spend their lives doing free consulting, free proposals, sending stuff off. They're constantly, if I just do this one thing, I've just got to do what they want, and then they'll buy from me. And it's like, no, they're using you just like the jocks used you at high school. You're still a loser. You just get better pay for it. And that's why salespeople love me, because they know I'm right. They know I'm right and they hate it. So I hold up the mirror and they say, it's true, that's me. So fucking stop it. But it's hard not to behave like that when everyone around you does it. And it's the way you're taught. The customer is king. The customer's always right. You're the customer, not the prospect. They forget that. A prospect isn't a customer.
Wow. Wow. I love that. It's the sure the customer's always right, not the
Not the
prospect.
prospect. People
Right.
forget
And so
that all the time. You need a relationship to sell. No, you need a relationship with a customer. Because once you say you're going to deliver something, if you deliver it and you give them what they want and you have good, they'll keep buying. But to sell to someone the first time, you don't need a relationship. I've never had a relationship with anyone. I bought a house. Didn't take the guy out to dinner. Didn't meet his family. Didn't learn it. I didn't give a fuck about the realtor. I wanted a house, right? Same with everything you've ever bought first time. Yeah, you don't need a relationship to sell, but this is a crap salespeople are fed and tell themselves to justify chasing people they're never going to buy from them. I'm building a relationship. No, you're a loser, wasting your time. That's it.
that's it. Wasting your time. One of the questions that I outlined that I want to ask you is what's the biggest lie that poor salespeople believe?
Well, other than you need to be liked to sell, I would say the biggest lie that they believe is that the person with the money's in charge. They seem to think that the prospect calls the shots. Because most salespeople go into a meeting with a idea that their job is to convince these other people why you should buy from us. And we're going to give you all the good reasons as to why you should buy from us. And I'm going to do a presentation and I do some fact finding. But basically, I'm here to basically argue. It's almost as if I'm a courtroom. My case, put it to you, the jury, and then you make a decision. And I come in and I say, that's bollocks. You see, what I know is I'm not here to convince you to be my customer. I'm here for you to convince me why I should help you. You see, I built a business that's very successful at what it does. I'm not here to convince you this works. I'm here to figure out why should we use our skills, knowledge, and expertise to help you. You are the one with the problem. Now, yes, you have choice of where you spend your money to fix this. I get that. But that doesn't change the fact that I'm the expert. I know what I'm doing. You need to convince me why we should sell to you. That changes the entire dynamics. It changes the entire meeting. Salespeople can't do that because they've never been trained to do that. And they go in believing the man with the gold makes the rules. That's what we're taught as kids. The man with the gold. And it's total not money only has power in the mind of the person that wants it. So if, say, Bill Gates came to me and I had the cure, not the cure for cancer, and he came to me, he said, Benjamin, I'll give you $1 billion. I said, no, I hate you, Bill Gates. I hate Microsoft. I hate everything about it. I'll give you $2 billion. No, not interested. $3 billion. Don't want it, man. Not interested in your money. I hope you die. His money is, now he could hire a hitman and kill me. Yeah, that's the extreme. But the theory is his money's useless. If I won't accept it, it has no power. And so this is what I teach some people. The prospect only has power if you give it to them, and you give it to them by wanting their business, by needing their business. I like your business, but I don't need it. That will change your game.
What a great analogy that is to just prove where the power lies, right? If you have the cure for cancer and somebody's trying to give you billions for it, but you say no, right? That money has no power at all. They can't buy it, they can't get it. And so, as a salesperson, we have to change this mindset that the person with the money has the power. It's no, because you're going to choose to accept the money and then provide the service that you better be putting your stamp of approval on before you're even willing to sell in the first place,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And now you'll get some people that pull that analogy apart and go, well, there aren't just one cure for cancer, though. See, we sell product, there are other different products out. He doesn't have to go to right. But your argument is that your cure is the best. This is the one that's going to fix you. Everyone else is selling a different cure. He's got to make a decision on who to buy from, right? So my job is to get him to discover this is the best one. There is still skill in this. I don't just sit there and go, convince me and do nothing. No, no, there's a job for me in this, and I have to get them to discover they need what I have. That's part of it. But I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to allow you to discover. The skill is in doing that. So it's not just sit back and say, well, you need me. I'm not going to do anything. And no. But people watching this, hearing that first bit, particularly the people that hate what I say, will pick on that and say, well, that's a stupid analogy. Because, yeah, no, the point is the same.
Yeah. Point is the exact same. It's an interesting point that they said also around discovery is kind of the piece of this puzzle. But Benjamin, so I'm loving this. You're giving us tons of great advice. Give us a little overview around what do you do as the UK's most hated sales trainer, your business sales matrix. Give everybody just a little holistic look into the life of Benjamin.
Well, I am in sales like 99% of people are in sales. I fell into it. I didn't want this for my life. I had plans, I had aspirations, I had hopes, I had dreams. No one wants to be in. No, again, for the one in every million people watching this that says, oh, the exception to the rule doesn't prove that the rule doesn't exist. Most people in sales find themselves there by chance. It wasn't their plan in life, right? So we're here by default. And so one of the reasons I wanted to get good at selling is one, I'm lazy. I've realized that if you're good at sales, you don't have to work hard. Sales isn't a hard job. This isn't rocket science. It's not brain surgery. Nobody dies if we screw this sort of thing up. So people take it too serious. So if you get really good at this, you don't actually have to work very, very hard. And that fits me. But I trained as a lawyer. I'm a qualified barrister. I was going to be a criminal defense attorney. That was the plan, but life had a different trajectory for me. So that's how I got into it. And so my day job is a lot of coaching. COVID was the best thing that ever happened to me personally, because I was an in-house corporate trainer. So I'd go into a company and there'd be teams of people. We'd work together over a period of 6 months. COVID hit right up overnight. And it forced me online. I'd never done anything online, and I thought, would anyone pay me to deliver my material over Zoom? I had no idea. So I tried it. Turns out, yes. And suddenly I was opened up to the whole world. I had no idea. So many people on LinkedIn loved my content, loved my stuff on YouTube. So when I started selling live training, these would fill out. I did 60 of these over COVID. And they all had 20, 30 people. At peak, people were paying £1,200 a ticket. I made a lot of money over that period, and that moved my whole business. And I changed. I stopped targeting corporates. Yeah. I realized that it's easier to get $500 off of some guy sitting at home jerking off to Pornhub than it is selling to a CEO on a 50 to 60,000 pound. And I thought it's easier. And I thought, well, I'm going to take the easier route to make money. Why would I go the harder route? So this is what smart people do. They take the easy route that's more profitable. So that's what I do. So I created, and then people started saying, can I buy a copy of the live boot camp? I can't make it. So then I thought, well, there's another stream. Let's start putting it on a platform. Let's put all my content up there, create videos. And you can subscribe to it, come in and out as often as you want. Just pay as you go and get access to all my stuff. And it works brilliantly. I've done very well. I can't lie.
Yeah, love that. And so it sounds like you used to do in corporate sales training. COVID is the best thing that ever happened to you. And now you're focused on digitally online. Sounds like almost business, if we call you a business to consumer sales
Yeah,
training,
I
is what you're
still do
focused on
some
today.
corporate training as long as I want to do it online. I mean, because when you factor in I got sick of traveling. I was traveling all over the UK, sometimes even flying to America. And at first, it's glamorous. Yay, very ego. You get, oh yeah, people want me, they want me, and you get that. But after a while, that is a really sucky life. Living in hotels, eating crap food, going in, doing an event, and then getting up the night before, then leaving straight after, doing a 6 hour drive, or flying to the US, doing 2 days, and then flying. It's not even a holiday. It's just, and so I don't want to do that. I put that to one side. Now it's all online, and I love it. And I do very well out of it, and my students love it. I train people all over the world. From I've had people in Russia, people in the Middle East, people in Asia, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, you name it. It's a global thing because what I teach applies across culture. You have to nuance it, but the fundamentals don't change because humans don't change.
Nice. I love that insight right there. We talk a ton about communications on the show and just in our business in general, and that's the basis, right? Human beings, if we can understand how to relate to them and communicate with them, that's what's going to make the biggest difference. And that's what sales is also. Benjamin, you're a very confident individual. Were you always this way? Where did that come from?
Um, I think I've always been confident in my own self, yes, but it's got better as the years have gone on. So I did profiling, personality profiling, and I did the first one in 2010. And I use something called disc profiling. And it's a very simple and easy thing to understand. And what it basically said, though, is I fell into sales, but I had a natural personality for it. So when you see a lot of people who are in sales have a natural personality designed to be good at it, but they don't know that. So I think a lot of people you meet and they say he's a natural salesman. What it is they've luckily been fortunate enough to fall into a sector too where they sell to people like them. So this is one of the things I teach people. You hear the phrase people by people, but that's a crock. That's not true because it always misses two words off the end, which fundamentally changes the statement. It's people by people like them, right? So if you get two fat guys in Hawaiian shirts, the odds are they'll do business. You get a big fat guy in Hawaiian shirt talking to a stick insect of an accountant in a pinstripe suit. Now, it's possible that it's not, they can't do business, but the odds are harder because they're not like each other. So we're tribal by nature. So a lot of people fall into a sales sector and they happen to be selling to people like them more often than not. So they're a natural salesperson. So this is why I try to understand the psychology behind all of this. Yeah, I think yeah. So that's it.
Yeah, nice. And so you realize through this, like actually personality profiling, right? That you were somewhat that natural salesperson and you were selling to people like you. And so over time, that probably developed a lot of this confidence that I'm seeing. How can people early in their sales career develop more confidence and belief in themselves?
Right. So one is do a personality test. Find out what you are. Yeah, that's important. So that's why. So when I did the test, one of the things I found out that I was weak in was my dominance. So most salespeople, like me and probably like you and people like, they're outgoing. A lot of them, they have what they call a big influencer personality. They like to be the center of attention. Yes, yeah. This is why they're drawn to sell. I like meeting all these salespeople write on their CVs. I love meeting people. It's they're the worst people to hire, though, unfortunately, because people that like meeting people are what I call their professional visitors. In fact, they're less effective than social workers. They just meetings for the sake of meetings, and as long as they liked me and liked what I said, it doesn't care if they don't buy. I got my emotional needs met. I got to be the center of attention. So what I realized is that I lack the dominance bit, and the dominance bit is pushing people through. Only decision makers can get others to make decisions. That's an important point. If you're looking for one nugget, only a decision maker can get others to make decisions. So if you are a prevaricator, a ditherer, a procrastinator by nature, sales is going to be tough for you. Because when somebody says, I need to think it over, you think, yeah, that's fair, I would too. When somebody says it's very expensive, you go, yeah, we are kind of expensive. And then you try and explain why. So you're always empathizing with your buyer. You're not sitting there, yes, I know we're expensive. Thank God, I thought you were going to say we were cheap. or competitive for a moment there. Yeah? Whew. That's what I say when people say it's very expensive. I think, thank goodness. I was worried for a second. Yeah, because you should be proud of your price. You should never be upset about your price. So I realized I had to work on my dominance. And the only way to get better at being dominant is by developing systems and processes that make you dominant. It's behavior driven. So belief follows behavior. So when you said, how do you have more confidence and belief? I've never met a salesperson that lacks confidence. I get this all the time. If I meet a CEO, they'll say, look, one of the reasons I want to get you in is I just think my guys lack a little bit of, confidence. They need a shot. And I go, can I ask you a question? Yeah. I said, if we were to go to the pub right now with your sales team, would any of them struggle to strike up a conversation with a stranger at the bar? And they think it and they go, no, I don't think any of them. So none of them have a confidence problem then, do they? And for the first time, I go, no, I guess not. So what do you think it is? They go, I don't know. See, this is my job. I'm getting them to discover, this is the discovery process, that they don't even know what's wrong with their people. And I go, it's their beliefs. They actually have beliefs. So we need to change their behavior so we can change their beliefs. And this is a funny thing whenever you ask anyone who hires salespeople, so when you hired them for their beliefs, what beliefs did you look into? And they look at you like you've said something totally offensive. It's like, what do you mean beliefs? Well, I look for, no, I'm not interested in habits. Well, habits are good, but no. Well, I'm looking for a positive attitude. That's not a belief. Well, I'm looking for a cat. That's not a belief. I don't know. So, no one, so what are their money beliefs like? What do they believe the purpose of a sales meeting is? What do they believe their role as a salesperson is? No one asks these questions. They just hire you because you didn't dribble. You look good in a suit, and I thought, all right, let's give them a shot. Yeah, well, one is I ask people this all the time. What do you believe the role of the salesperson is? Most people say, well, to sell, to make money, to find pain. You get all these sorts of. No, 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 no. The belief is, and I know that my belief is to get to the truth. Believe it or not, it's almost kind of like a lure. I'm only trying to get to the truth because the truth is going to help me determine whether or not we can move forwards or not. Because I know in the sales process, everybody's lying. Everybody's deceiving. Everybody's telling me half the truth. Everyone's being economical with the truth. So I know from the moment I get in front of someone, whatever's coming out of their mouth is being filtered. So I have to get behind the filter to find out what's really going on. So the strong belief is the whole purpose of a sale is to get to the truth. And then what's the next thing? What do you believe you should be trying to do in the meeting? Well, Sal, no. What should you be doing behavior wise? What do you believe? And they go, qualifying. I go, well, that's close, but you're slightly off. Your job isn't to qualify. Your job is to disqualify. There are more reasons for people not to buy from you than there are to buy from you. So why do you spend your time on the smallest thing? The reasons why you should buy. Focus on why they can't. That changes the conversation. Yeah. Look, Mr. CEO, I'll be upfront with you. I can see three big reasons why you're probably not going to buy from us. Shall I tell you what they are? It's amazing when you start to tell them the reasons they're not going to buy from you, how they start to argue with you, you're wrong. Right? This is my job. Yeah, I'm not going to wait to the end for one of these things to come up. Yeah, I'm going to deal with it as soon as I can. So learning how to do this takes guts. They're not used to behaving like this. This is fundamentally different. It's flipping the script. It's like the CEO's the one on trial. It's not you. You're not there to convince the CEO to use you. I know how stuff works. You need to convince me that you need what we have. And I'll tell you what, there are more reasons you're going to say no to this. So let's get through those first before we spend any time on why you should work with us. Because I don't want to waste my time explaining why you should work with us to get to the other end of this and you say, oh, we can't because of this. It's so simple, it's so common sense, but it's very uncomfortable to do.
That's very uncomfortable to do, right? It's almost to me. Some people are too afraid of judgment versus even rejection. What's your opinion?
Yes. Well, because we all have egos, we all have pride. Pride cometh before the fall, the original sin, right? So human beings are incredibly ego driven, particularly people that go into sales, because it's also a bit of the showman, right? So they need to be liked. They need affirmation. You can tell, you get salespeople go back from a sales meeting and you say, so how'd it go? Oh, yeah, it was good. Yeah, why was it good? Well, they liked us. They really liked what we had to say. They asked great questions. They're really keen. I just feel I've got a good feeling about this. Oh, well, all right. So what's the next step? We just got to put together a quick proposal. And now you're into the put together a proposal. So when are they? So when are they going to make a decision by? I think. When you say I think, well, did you just start a sentence with I think, which means you don't know. So you've just spent an hour with this human being who you've now said really loves our stuff and is going to buy. And the first question I've asked you is when are they going to? I don't know. So what the hell have you been doing for the last hour? Well, I've been convincing them of why they should buy from us. It's pathetic, but it goes on and on and on in offices around the world. And it's hard to break that. It's very hard to break that.
Yeah, and so what's the reason here? Is it literally just poor training? Is it a fear of rejection of asking directly, when are you going to make a decision? What is there to think about?
I wish it was, but it's harder. That's why I called my course the Sales Matrix course, because most salespeople are stuck in a world that they don't see. And they don't realize they are prisoners to the behaviors and beliefs that they were taught as a kid. So we all learned how to buy our whole life. We learned how to buy. We watched mum and dad buy. And we realized, I always use this analogy. You're a kid, you're about, say, 8 years old. You're in the high street. And for me, it would have been in the 80s. And you said your dad's looking at the VCR. If anyone's old enough to know what a VCR is, right? That's showing my age, right? So you're looking at the latest VCR. Your dad's in the shop and he's asking the sales guy all these questions. Does it do this? Can it do that? Does it have the barcode reader? Does it do long play? If you know what I mean by long play, you know what I mean. The height of technology in the day. Does it do all of this? It's the guy's answering and your dad's nodding away, say, yep, well, I really like it. So the kid says, well, shall I wrap it for you, sir? Dad says, oh, well, look, I'm going to discuss it with my wife, but we will be back. So you walked out of the store, you looked up at your dad with your big cow eyes, said, Dad, we got to get, he goes, nah, too expensive. Yeah, but you said we would, oh, you just say that to a salesman to get rid of them. So your whole life, you watched your parents behave this way. And you were taught, all the rules you were taught. One, never talk to strangers. And then you get a job in sales. What's the first thing they ask you to do? Here's a list of strangers, phone them. This is why it takes salespeople on average 10 to 15 minutes to pick up the phone from the moment you say make calls. They fart about for so long because deep down they're about to violate a rule that they were taught as a kid that no one ever told them. You know that rule doesn't apply as a grown up. No one ever teaches you that. So you've got it stuck in your head. The other rule you're taught is it's rude to interrupt. So now there's a list of strangers, interrupt them. Oh, good God. And then the worst thing we were conditioned to do from the moment you were born, you were programmed that you have to answer a question when asked, especially by anyone older or in authority. So now, phone a list of strangers who are busy and are CEOs. And you'll think, and you start to freak out. And because internally, you're about to go against everything that you've been raised not to do. Now, some people are better at rebelling against their parents, and so they can do this. Some people, it's fine. They say, he's a natural. He just never gave a toss. He gave up. This guy doesn't bring his mum to work. That's what makes this guy successful. The rest of you, you've still got your mum in your ear. Oh, you better answer his questions. Oh, what are you going to say when you get through to him? Why don't you phone the janitor? At least he's on your level. This is the head trash. So salespeople are the most emotionally retarded people, I say. It's a room full of people running around trying to be liked, seeking approval off of strangers in the hope that they'll get some sweets at the end of it.
Well, you're completely right. It's crazy to me to it's true. It's 100% true. And I've actually personally never made this parallel to it's these limiting beliefs that were caused from our parents or from childhood, right? Don't talk to strangers. Don't interrupt people, right? Listen to the adults that are above you, right? They're right. They know better than you. Wrong.
What about sleep on it? Don't make a quick decision. Get three solutions. So this all screws you up for sales. So you get in front of someone and say, "I need to think it over." What did your mum whisper in your ear? "Oh, I like him. His mum raised him well. That's how I raised you." And you go, "Yeah, yeah, that's okay. My mum said it's okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah." So this is what's going on inside their head at a subconscious level. So they tolerate being treated like shit because this is why the hat's an allegory. If I take it off, I'm now 100% a buyer. And then you go to work and you stick a little hat on it says salesman. But underneath is still a bar. So in reality, it's two bars talking to each other. "I need to think it over. I would too. You're very expensive. I think we are too. I need to see a proposal. I would want a proposal too. I don't want to buy in the first meeting. I wouldn't either." So you've got two buyers interacting, and there's no one in there selling.
Wow. What an easy mindset shift for me to see it right there. It's like quit acting like a buyer acts, right? You're going to get nowhere. You're going to stalemate. You're just being nice for no reason and you're not helping anybody, especially yourself.
So it's so obvious when you point it out. And people, when I teach them, they go, "It is true. It's true. That's me. How do I change?" Well, that's the thing. Change is hard. And this is it. And it goes back to, how did you get into sales? Well, I fell into it. Exactly. We call selling a profession. But you meet a lawyer, you meet a surgeon, you meet an accountant. Most of these people wanted to be this. They had some drive, some desire. So they went and studied 4 years to become a lawyer. Then you're just a junior. 7 years medical school, and then you're just a junior. 3 years to become an accountant, then you're just a junior. And you start at the bottom and you train and you learn and you study your craft before you're even let loose. You do all that. But to be called a sales professional, 3 days product knowledge, a new suit, a CRM system, and welcome, you are one. And then everyone wonders why they're shite.
They never
It's
wanted to be in the
all
first place. They didn't actually go to school for it.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, so if you're doing something that deep down you never wanted to do, are you now, 5 years in, going to spend the time and money getting really good at it when deep down you don't even want to be here? No. So I'll do the best to get by. They're what I call at leasters. At least I just hit target. At least I just miss target. At least I can pay my bills this month. At least I can have a holiday. Yeah, they're operating on a 6 to 7 out of 10. Yeah, and that's it till they die. Because there's no career outside of sales once you're in it. Have you ever seen a job saying wanted ex salesman? What skill set do you have that the rest of the world wants? Nada. So you just shift from sales job to sales job. You say for new challenges. The reality is you're going to get fired. You know you're going to get fired because you're shite, but you can eke it out for 18 months before anyone figures out your crap. And that's the truth.
You're speaking truth. That's all that it is, right? It's okay, but so where does this change happen? How does this change happen, right? People that are saying, "Oh, I never wanted to be it," so they don't have this belief yet of steer into it. That's the only way you're going to get out of this at least trap, right? At least I tried. At least I hit my KPIs. Like, but you're still crap at the end of the day, right? How do we get out of that mindset?
Well, you have to learn how to sell. You have to understand human psychology. You have to have a structure and a process. So the reason why a surgeon's good, or a professional golfer, or a top lawyer, if you ask any of these people, why do you win so much? They don't say, "It's because I have a winning personality," which is what salespeople say. Yeah, yeah, I'm really good with a golf club. It's like, no, 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 mate. Do you know how many hours I spend practicing every element of this job? I spent hours figuring out how to grip the golf club. Then I have to spend hours knowing how to park my legs. Then how to bend my knees. Then I had to master all these fundamental basics and get them spot on. And then I practice that 4 hours a day, and I do that 5 days a week. And then you see me at my finest. You only ever see me at the finest of my time. That's what they do, and they follow the same thing. They don't get in and get creative. There's no mavericks. They don't go, nah, I'm going to chop and change it. So they follow a structure, they follow a process, and they get really, really good. Lawyers are the same. Why do you win? Juries just think I look good in a wig. No, it's got nothing to do with your personality. Do you know how many murder trials I've done? Do you know, I know when to ask a question, when not to ask a question. I know when to look at the jury and make a face. I know when to object and when not to object. I know when to challenge, when not to challenge. I don't go in unprepared. Everything you see me do is choreographed. Salespeople, the exact opposite. They wing it, fly by the seat of their pants. They take all the praise when it goes well, and when it goes wrong, it wasn't their fault. It was timing, it was budgets, it's over too expensive, it's the competitor came in underneath us, whatever. So it's hard. We call it a profession, but there's nothing professional about it. So you, and watching this is why people hate me. The only way you know, you're going to have to invest time and money, and maybe even significant time and significant money to learn this, unless you can go away and do it yourself. Because the only way you're going to get good at this is to go to someone who can do it well and have them teach you how to do it. I spent 4 years at law school, racked up a student loan, which I had to pay. Salespeople think they should be taught for free, educated for free. The world owes me everything and I owe it nothing. Yeah, you've got to spend time and money on improving yourself. That's it. Me or anyone.
That's it. You know, Benjamin, we didn't talk much about your past and how you got to here, right? But now that you bring up, you have to spend the time, the money to learn this. Where did you learn it? Where did these skills come from for you?
Well, so I met several people on the way that were a big influence in my life. This guy called Marcus Kalki, a great sales trainer in the United Kingdom. I met him. I met a motivational speaker called Brad Burton, again in the United Kingdom. I spend a lot of time reading books on the psychology. So I don't read sales books. People always say, what sales book would you recommend? None of them. They all say pretty much the same thing with just a slight spin on it. And people love reading books, but they don't do anything in the books. So, they've got all this knowledge, but they have no skill. So forget reading the sales books. Work with someone that knows what they're doing. A good salesman asks great questions, but it's easy to say, ask great questions, ask good questions. Yeah, but what does that look like? How do you actually do that? How do you do that under pressure as well? So this is the other thing. The psychology is more important. The techniques are great, but how you feel is going to determine how you behave and act. And a lot of salespeople feel pressure. They feel they need to perform. So your feeling is going to dictate how you behave. So when a CEO, in maybe an aggressive tone, says to you, well, look, I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not really sure this is for us. First of all, it's very expensive. Now, how suddenly this weight comes down on them? They feel that. So what do? They justify and defend their price. Well, I can understand you saying that, but the reason why we charge what we do is because you get this and you get that, and we do blah, blah, blah. Now, the moment you behave like that, you sound like every other dodgy, sleazy shyster I've had before me, because you're justifying and defending. So you're behaving wrong. So your feelings are going to dictate how you behave. And so until you understand why you act the way you do, why you feel what you feel. So when somebody is rude to you, why do you feel the need to respond aggressively? Or why do you feel the need to apologize? You're going to struggle. So once you master your emotions, you can then master the techniques of selling. Just like a lawyer. They learn the techniques because my emotions are irrelevant. My client's scum. He deserves to go to prison for the rest of his life. I detest him. But in court, he's one of the most noble and learned people I've ever had the privilege of meeting. This is simply a slip. It is a mistake. It is an aberration of character. And we plead for mercy. And whatever the judge decides, I don't care. I've done my job. I did it well. If he gets off, I'm not exactly thrilled, but it was my skill that got there. If he goes to prison, well, you were meant to go to prison. You're a piece of shit. And I've done nothing wrong. You were going to go down. So this is how I look at it. So I get passionate about this because I see so many people in sales miserable. And you try and show them the way up, but they just won't do it. Too uncomfortable, too hard. Don't want to invest in myself. The number of people that email me say, Benjamin, I love your stuff. I really want to work with you. Then the moment money comes up, they disappear. Everyone's a freeloader in sales, and then they wonder why they can't sell. You sell the way you buy, and you buy the way you sell. So if you're a cheap tight ass, don't be surprised that you keep meeting cheap tight asses.
I can't stop saying that it's just the absolute truth of what you're saying, right? But this is my biggest takeaway from just now, right? I asked you how you learned, and it was from getting around the correct people, right? From other trainers, and as well as you said, not just reading sales books, right? Psychology books, understanding how humans work and understanding how you work as a person. Expose your own self limiting beliefs first, your own bad habits first, and then start taking sales seriously as a profession. Have procedures. The golf analogy is perfect, right? Golfers do the same thing every single time. That's why they're the best in the world. If you want to be the best in the world salesperson, you better get some strategies and actual processes in place also.
You need a structure, you need process, and you've got to follow it, even if it makes you uncomfortable. So many people say, well, this makes me uncomfortable. I was talking to a guy where I have this particular opener for a cold call that works really well. And he says, my boss won't let me do it because he doesn't like it. Liking it is irrelevant. Is it effective? Yeah. Then your boss is an idiot. I don't like that, but it works. Yeah, I don't like. That's his mum saying, "Oh, I don't like that." You see, whenever someone says you can't do something because I don't like it, it means their mum is still in the office with them saying, "No, don't let them talk." Get your mum out of it. If you're watching this, seriously, person, if you're watching this, Wayne's listeners, if you're in sales and you're watching this right now, what I want you to do is after this podcast, see it to the end, obviously, because it's a good podcast. I want you to phone up your mum and dad if they're still around. And I want you to say, look, mum, dad, I love you, but stop coming to work with me. Cut the umbilical cord. Free yourself from them.
Do it. Absolutely, right? Quit taking those limiting beliefs, right? Your mom and dad, they taught you early in life to work with you, right? Those strategies were taught for you as a kid, as a child, not for you today where you are.
Great for a child, not for an adult. You can talk to strangers. You can interrupt people. You don't have to answer a question. Yeah, there you go. 3 simple rules that you should start living by.
Perfect. Here's the permission that everybody needs. Benjamin, I always like to wrap up a little bit talking about actual legacy because I find that it means different things for different people. And so for you, what's the definition of actual legacy these days?
That's a good question. What is my legacy? I don't want to say something cliched like I want to leave the world slightly better than when I couldn't give a toss. The world's got to go the way the world's got to go. One man can change the world, but you've got to really want to fight for it and want it. I don't care that much. So what I'd like my legacy is, and I sometimes see it now, everyone uses it. Well, it seems like everyone uses it, but it's very common to hear people when they're cold calling say, I'll be upfront, this is a cold call. Do you want to hang up now or let me have 30 seconds? And I popularize that. And it's very, very common. It feels common, but it's probably not as common. But I like the fact that so many people are saying that. And what I love is my clients, one of the things I say to people is when you get really good at selling, the hardest thing you're going to deal with is trying not to laugh during the sales process. Because once you understand how to dominate the meeting, how to ask questions and get people to figure out why they need you, you will realize how easy this is to do. It's like a symphony and you're just conducting. And I said, trying not to. So I want sales to be fun. And I think that's the problem with people. They don't have fun with it. This is a brutal job. As soon as the month ticks around, you're back to zero. As soon as a quarter ticks around, you're back to zero. So you're constantly always having to chase the dragon, to use an expression. But you're always chasing something, and you can get bogged down in that. The reality is, if you do your job well, if you consistently prospect, if you have a process, you'll consistently get predictable outcomes. So have fun with it. And I like my legacy is for everyone that works for me to say, yeah, he's right. It's so hard now trying not to laugh. I can't believe how miserable this job used to be. And I know that's true because people who've never personally worked with me but picked up bits from my YouTube channel and whatnot email me and say, you've changed my life. I've binged on all your free content and I've used this and used this. And, I had a woman from Melbourne send me an email. I had no idea. She bought my course and she said, I just wanted to thank you. Because of your teaching, I was able to buy a house in Melbourne. She goes, you have no idea how expensive it is to buy property. She goes, but because of what you taught, I was able to hit targets, save commission. And she goes, I just want to thank you. That is what I want my legacy to be, people laughing their way through the sale.
Making sales fun, and then it actually equates to a huge difference being made in people's lives, being able to buy homes, live their absolute dreams. Benjamin, I love it. That's unbelievable. You're making such a huge difference. I mean, you dropped tons of really great value in here, and I'm sure there's people that want to keep learning more. Where's like the best place for them to actually head, learn more about you, and learn more about Sales Matrix?
So I got a deal for your listeners. So if they Instagram, I've been told that I need to use Instagram more. So if you send me a direct message on Instagram and use the code Wayne, so it's just Wayne's name, WAYNE. If you use Wayne, you'll get an automated response. And what it'll do, it'll send you to a link which will take you to my website. But I'm going to give you, I normally charge $197 for this, but for your listeners, they can get access to two crash courses. One is 10 reasons why your prospecting fails. The other is how to bulldoze your way through objections. So you get access to that for a month for free. Plus, Sales Matrix courses members get to do monthly Q&A sessions with me live, sort of like this. You can come on. You'll also get the opportunity to join one of those. Again, completely free. And then after that, whether you decide to sign up and do more on the platform or with me, completely up to you. But this is my way of giving you something to kickstart that desire to want to change and invest in yourself. So, yeah, use the code Wayne, Instagram it, and that's what you'll get. And the crash courses are very popular. So, so $197, totally free. And you get to meet me live one to one if you want. You come and slag me off. I don't care. You can't hurt my feelings. I have no feelings. I'm a salesman.
Benjamin Dennehy, the UK's most hated sales trainer. Thank you so much. It's greatly, greatly appreciated. And that's a wrap, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Please do us a favor and share the episode. Share it with a friend, a family member, a colleague that's going to get a lot out of this. How interesting is Benjamin's perspective, right? Like, flip the script upside down, right? When you're making a sale, you have something valuable, right? If you don't, then why are you selling in the first place? So take the perspective that the person that's buying from you, you need to make sure that they're worthwhile for you to sell your service to sell your product to, right? Before you invest your time and energy, your resource sources to give to them. Flip your mindset upside down. He talked about making sales fun, understanding human psychology. That's so important, right? People buy from people that are like them. Take that into perspective. Who are you selling to? Make sure you are presenting yourself like they are presenting themselves, or specifically go sell to more people that are like you. And man, how interesting is it that he likes to say that salespeople are lazy, right? He put this in a good way, right? It's like sales is not a life or death thing. It's not brain surgery. And so quit taking it so seriously. Make it fun, flip the script, and become a killer salesperson. Head on over to Benjamin's Instagram. Link should be down in the bio. Send him the message Wayne to get all those freebies that he mentioned. Till next time, everybody, thank you for tuning in. My name is Wayne Veldsman. You've been listening to Journey to Legacy.